boys and girls, it's Miss Michelle. Today we are continuing with measurement, and we're going to be converting metric units of capacity. And in the metric system, we measure capacity with liters. All right, that is our base unit. So I think a lot of times when I pull out medicine, like maybe I have eye drops for my red eyes during allergy season, and I look at the bottle and it will tell you how many milliliters are in the bottle. Or think about a soda bottle. So maybe you pick up a big 2-liter bottle of, I don't know, Sundrop. All right. So we will be converting those metric units of capacity today. So if you need paper, pencil, definitely if you don't have your book, make sure you're writing these problems down with me, but having a book is not a necessity today. All right, so the two most common used measurements for capacity are liter and milliliter, okay? And we're going to start with the visual learning video.
How do you convert metric units of capacity? Think about this question during the lesson. The most commonly used units of capacity in the metric system are the liter and the milliliter.
Can you find a liter or milliliter in the real world?
Would you measure the amount of water in a sink using liters or milliliters? Explain.
Well, I hope you will definitely use the liters. If you think about milliliters, it's almost like just one little drop. Like I was talking about the eye drops, just one little drop is usually the amount of a milliliter. Remember, 1,000 milliliters would be in a meter, in a liter. So it's a very small unit. So if you're measuring it, the water in a sink drop by drop, you're going to be there a while. If you fill up a liter and measure it that way, it's not going to take nearly as long.
You would use liters because a liter is a greater unit and a sink holds lots of water. Susan has 1.875 liters of water. How many milliliters is this? Which operation should you use to convert liters to milliliters? Select your answer.
All right, so we're going from liters, which are larger, to milliliters, which are a smaller unit. So thinking back to what we've been doing the last several days, you know that you're going to be multiplying because it takes a lot more of those little milliliters to equal 1 liter.
To change a larger unit to a smaller unit, multiply. Find 1.875 times 10 to the third power. How do you multiply 1.875 by 10 to the third power?
All right, so boys and girls, they're getting 10 to the third power because if we go back to our metric conversion chart that's set up like our place value, we're moving 3 places from that liter over to the milliliters. We're moving 3 powers of 10, and we'll look at that again today. It's what we were doing yesterday. All right, and I think the question was, how do you multiply it? Well, if you multiply by 10 to the third power, you're going to take that decimal point in 1 875 thousandths, and you're going to move it 3 places to the right, okay? That will result in a larger number.
Move the decimal point 3 places to the right. So, Susan has 1,875 milliliters of water. Jorge has 3,500 milliliters of water. How many liters is this?
All right, so we're just going to move through this. We're going to drag the slider to complete the table and look at the patterns. So what do you see happen every time? All right. I see it increases. Well, I see that every time the decimal is moving, 2 places to the decimal would be at the end of a whole number, and it's moving 3 places to the left, isn't it? To get from 1,000 to 1 liter, okay?
To change a smaller unit to a larger unit, divide. Find 3,500 divided by 10 to the third power. How do you divide 3,500 by 10 to the third power?
All right, so we would be
There is
dividing.
an understood decimal point after the second zero. Move the decimal point 3 places to the left. So, Jorge has 3 5/10 liters of water. Now you know how to convert metric units of capacity.
All right, so let's go back to a notebook paper today. All right, we're going to go ahead and head it. We're going to be getting our problems from page 507. So this is lesson 12-5. Don't forget, we're working with liters when we're working with metric capacity. Make sure you put your name and today's date on this, okay? All right, so we're going to start on page 507. I'm just pulling problem number 2. All right, so for problem number 2, we have 2 75/100 liters, and we want to know how many milliliters is that equivalent to. So I just want to go back to our King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk. And our base unit right here is where we have those liters. All right, and the milliliters are over here. They're a lot smaller. So I want you to notice we're going from a larger to a smaller unit. So you know we're going to be multiplying. All right, so what are we going to be multiplying 2 75/100 by? Well, we move over 1, 2, 3 places. So that's 10 to the third power. So we're going to be multiplying it times 1,000. All right, so what's going to happen is we're going to take our 2 75/100. All right, and we're going to be moving that decimal point 3 places to the right to get a larger valued number. And when we do that, it slides to the back, but we're going to have to annex a 0. So what we get is 2,750. So that's 2,750 milliliters. So we're putting together the skills that we learned when we multiplied and divided decimals, right? All right, so when you multiply and divide numbers, whether they're decimal numbers or whole numbers by powers of 10, you're moving that decimal point. All right, let's look at number 3. All right, hopefully it'll get easier as we move on. So problem number 3, we have 3,000 milliliters, and we want to know how many liters is that. So we are going from a smaller to a larger unit. So we are going to be dividing 3,000. All right, so we just over here, King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk. Here are our liters. All right, so we're going from the milliliters over to the liters. So we're moving 10 to the third power. And since these are the common 2 metric units of capacity, you notice that they are 3 places away from each other on the place value chart. So you notice that there's 1,000 times difference in them every time. So that is helpful. All right, so what I'm going to do when I divide, I could be placing the decimal and moving it, 3 places to the left. If I do that, then I get 3. The other way I could do it is I can cancel out, and 3 divided by 1 is 3, okay? All right, so let's look at another example. Another example, if we have 5 liters, and we want to know how many milliliters is that. All right, I think we can already see from our example that what we're going to be doing is moving 3 places. We just talked about that. All right, but if you just want to get used to writing the little chart, that just helps you remember the story. King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk. And I'll be honest, even as an adult, I sometimes refer to the chart, just kind of picture it in my head, and it helps me not to make an incorrect conversion. All right, so I'm going from 5 liters, which is a larger unit, to the smaller unit. So we know we're moving 10 to the third power places, 3 places. So the 5 liters will be multiplied by 1,000. All right, and 5 times 1,000 is 5,000. So 5 liters is the same as 5,000 milliliters. All right, let's take a look at number. And I'm off on numbering. This was 3. Sorry, this was 4. This was 5 in the book. Sorry, I just got off. All right, number 6. We are going to be taking 250 milliliters, and we're going to convert that to liters. All right, so we're moving from a smaller to a larger unit. So our operation is going to be division. So we have 250. Here's our story. King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk. All right, our base unit, our liters are right here. We're going over to the milliliters. We're moving 3 places. So we're dividing by 10 to the 3rd power, which is we're dividing by 1,000. All right, don't forget we can annex a decimal point at the end of a whole number, and to divide by 1,000, we're going to move that decimal 3 places to the left, and I see it ends up in front of the number. So I'm not going to have a whole number. I'm just going to have a decimal, 250. You know what? The 0 can come off. That's a trailing 0 that doesn't add any value. So what I see is 25 hundredths liters is equivalent to 250 milliliters. All right, let's take a look at 2 more, and then I'm going to let you do a couple on your own. Number 7, we have 27 thousandths liters, and we want to know how many milliliters that is. This is the larger unit going to a smaller unit, so we're going to be multiplying 27 thousandths by something. We already know it's going to be 1,000 or 10 to the 3rd power because we're moving between liters and milliliters, right? And that is 3 places on the place value chart, or 3 10 to the 3rd power. When we multiply, don't forget that decimal point moves to the right because we're going to get a larger number. So if I pick up the decimal point and move it 3 places to the right, it is now at the end of the number. So that number, actually all the zeros in the front don't have any value anymore. We just get 27. So 27 milliliters names the same amount as 27 thousandths of a liter. All right, number 8. Well, this is the last one I'm going to model for you, and the rest you can do, or you can pick a couple to do before your practice buddy. All right, so 400 milliliters. Want to know how many liters this is? All right, we're going from the smaller to the larger unit, so this is going to be an operation of division. So what are we dividing 400 by? I hope you already know that we're going to be dividing it by 1,000. All right, we already see King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk. We see that every time we move between the base unit, which is liters, to the milliliters, we are moving 3 places, and we're moving 3 places when we move back. So that's 10 to the 3rd power. All right, 400 divided by 1,000. Remember, there's that assumed decimal point at the end of all whole numbers. We're dividing by 1,000, so we're moving that decimal 3 places to the left. It is now in front of the 4, so we don't have a whole number. We have 4 ones. The 2 trailing zeros can disappear. So 4 liters is equivalent. Oh, wait a minute. I just made a mistake. I moved it. 400 liters. That decimal is in the front, becomes 4 tenths of a liter. Sorry, 400 milliliters becomes 4 tenths of a liter. I thought I made a mistake. I didn't. All right, so this is what we have going on. You've got a couple problems that if you want to practice with are at the bottom of the page. If you want to just pick a couple, make sure you're on the right path before you start working with your practice buddy. If you feel like you've got it, of course, that's only optional. I will share my solutions. So if you want to go ahead and pause the video, or if you're moving on to your practice buddy, but I will share the solutions through problem 20. All right, so 9 through 13. And on this side, I just showed you one chart. Since we're only moving between those two common units, liters and milliliters, we know that we're either multiplying or dividing by 10 to the third power. We know why based on where their values are on the place value chart. So 9 through 13, if you want to look at those. I've got 14. If you need to pause and take a minute, I'm sliding it up. All right, if you did 15 through 20, I'm flipping over. So if you need to pause it, go ahead. All right, again, I just drew my chart right here so I'd have it at my fingertips. So here is 15 through 20. And I'm going to slide it down so you can see the rest of 20. So pause it if you need it for number 15. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you have a great day. I hope you're feeling comfortable moving between metric conversions of capacity. Again, we're really just focusing on those liters and milliliters because that is what is most commonly seen as far as capacity units in the metric system. All right, have a great day. I'll see you soon.